Hey friends, this past week was our VBS, or our summer blast for kids. As one of the crew leaders, I got the joy of hanging out with the 5th and 6th graders. And one of those students came up to me and they said, I want to try to guess your age. I said, sure, you can guess my age. And they said, I bet you're pretty old. You're an old person, aren't you? And I said, well, what age do you think that is? And they said, I bet you're 16, which I choose to take as a compliment. But one of the values here at East Main Church is that we are an intergenerational church. And that means our focus is on more than just the adults who, can tithe and volunteer and put in work. Our focus is also on the children who can't do those things. At VBS, the kids come not just for a time of being goofy and silly and being themselves, but also a time to learn about who God is through His scriptures. If you read scripture, one of the things you'll learn quickly is that God views children as really important. The psalmist in Psalm 127 said, behold, children are a heritage from the Lord. They are from the womb a reward. And Jesus also makes a pretty bold claim in Matthew chapter 18, when His disciples come to Him and say, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus calls over a child, places him before them and says, behold, unless you turn and become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Now that was a bold thing for Jesus to claim, because in those days, children were seen not much more than property. But Jesus holds up this child as the ideal for the kingdom of heaven, not because of their innocence or their faith, but because of their humility and their unconcern for social anxiety or care. One of the youth had told me as a crew leader that a kid was not having a good time in their group, and another one of the little kids came up to them and just started being absolutely goofy and silly, making funny faces, making funny noises, anything to make the kid laugh. And that kid wasn't concerned if the other students around him thought he was strange or weird, but only cared about the smile of this child. And so I hope we are encouraged, like those children, to live unashamed for Christ. That we don't care about what the world thinks primarily, but for what God and Jesus has called us to be. Because no matter what age we are, age 2 or 92, God calls us to call Him our Abba, our Father. And so may we, like little kids, be unashamed for living like Christ.